Hello, welcome to Gen Z Finance. I'm an older Gen Z on the cusp of being a young millennial, documenting my financial journey here on YouTube and over on my Instagram at @ZennialFinance. So make sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and follow me over there for more personal finance content. Today we are doing a wrap up and review and close out of my May 2021 budget, and boy, let me just tell you, May has been a doozy for me. There were some good things that happened in May, but mostly there was just a lot of spending. So let's go ahead and get right into it. On screen here you will see the 7 steps that I take at the end of every single month to kind of clean up my budget and then prep for the next month. And usually I do the first 2 steps, reconcile on budget and tracking accounts, off screen and before I start this video, just for time's sake. But I did want to do a little bit of the account reconciliation on screen for y'all, just in case you're not too familiar with this process, to give you an idea of how you can do this. Also, I have a lot of spending that I just have not entered into the budget yet. So let's get that started. I'm going to start with my credit cards. And on screen, obviously, I have my YNAB up, and then on my phone, I have my mobile app up for my credit cards. And so that's what I'm kind of comparing what I already have on my budget to what is actually showing on my credit card. So that's how you kind of reconcile your accounts. Okay, so the last transaction I have is on May 22nd, but on my actual credit card, I do have several transactions since then. So I'm going to go ahead and enter them into my YNAB account and show you that process.
Then my tires plus my car ownership, and I needed to wear my car in because I hadn't really been driving my car, so everything was working right, and there were a bunch of lights on my dashboard. It was $260.05. Then also on the 28th, I have more spending and dining out, and my portion was $14.89.
So once you have entered in all of the transactions that are on your card, what you're then going to want to do is compare what is actually cleared, your credit card or your bank account that's actually cleared versus the things that are still pending. The last transaction I have that has been completely reconciled was this $43.54, and so the only other transaction since then that has fully cleared is this $5.43. So I'm going to mark that as cleared, and then to double check, I go up to this reconcile button, click it, and it's going to ask me, is my current account balance $684.84? And I'm going to compare that to the screenshot on my phone, and it is. So I'm going to say yes, and that will lock up that transaction so that I know that everything beneath that is correct, that all of that is right, and then these 4 transactions are still pending. Now I will be going into my checking account and just kind of going through the same process. So the last transaction I have entered in YNAB in my checking account is this payment to my credit card for $993.29, and looks like on the 27th I got a paycheck from my part-time job, and this was $62.39, so we will enter that, and that has cleared. I'm going to come up here to the reconcile button. $2,019.01 is my current account balance, so we will say yes to that. So with that, all of my on budget accounts are reconciled, so I will go ahead and check this off. So for the sake of time for this video, I did go ahead and complete all those other tracking off camera, so we're going to do that as a check mark. Step 3 is to cover any overspending and move money around as needed in your budget. So what you're going to want to look at is this available column, and you're looking for any yellow like this or any red, and that is how you know that there is overspending. So I'm going to open up all of my categories, and as you can tell, there's definitely some overspending. So I spent a lot in dining out this month. I'm going to take some of this money first from leftover spending from my birthday. So we will move that to food and drink, which is like my dining out category. And then let's take the rest of this from that entertainment budget, and that will cover the rest of that. Okay, so that covers that overspending. And then as you can see here, we have $163.52 overspent in this medical category. And this was for my bill for my primary care visit. But I do have down here in my savings line item this out-of-pocket max. And so this is where I saved up the full, complete out-of-pocket max. And I'm going to use this $4,500 to cover this $163.52. So we're going to cover this overspending with out-of-pocket max. That takes the money out of this out-of-pocket max category, moves it up to the medical category, which is where I want to track all of these expenses. And so that's how I budget and handle my medical expenses, because throughout 2020, I saved up for this out-of-pocket max for 2021. So now that we're in 2021, any medical expenses I have this year, I don't actually really need to worry about or budget for, because I already have that money set aside here in this line item. And then that is why I also have this next year deductible line item that you see me budget for every single month. This is for next year's medical deductible, or even next year's, out-of-pocket max. This is $200 that I put into this account every single month so that at the end of 2021 going into 2022, I can take this money that is in this line and kind of use it to replenish this out-of-pocket max and kind of take care of the gap between what I still have saved in this line item, because hopefully I have some money left over at the end of the year, the gap between what I have saved and then what the next year's out-of-pocket max will be. And so that is how I can kind of stay 1 year ahead in a sense on all of my medical expenses. Okay, but that will cover all of the overspending. Obviously I still have the $62.59 for my part-time job. Before I budget this out, what I'm going to do is just kind of go through all of my categories and see if there's any other money that I can move around. So I usually like to go to June to look at what my starting available balance will be for June and then determine from there what money I can move around. I have $25 set aside for dining out in June, and honestly that just might not be enough. Obviously I spent quite a bit on dining out in May, and there are just some things that I think I will continue to spend a little bit more than normal in this category. So let's do another $25 in here to get that up to $50. $35.09 in entertainment. I'm just going to jump back to May and then move that 9 cents up to be budgeted, because that's, you know, the $5 can roll over, but that 9 cents we can get rid of. There's $612.38 in clothing. Same thing here. I'm just going to get rid of the $238 and put that in to be budgeted so that the number is a bit more even. Okay. Now we're getting into the giving section, and I probably will move some money around in here. So I'll keep the $50 that is budgeted for this in June. That's fine. But I'm going to come back here and let's move 100 of this from donations to family giving. That will give me $1,000 in here at the beginning of June, which, if you don't know, I mentioned this in my last video, but my dad is going to have some surgery in June, and I'm kind of going to be helping him out, like staying at his apartment to kind of help him out a little bit. So I just want to have some money set aside for him or anything he might need. Okay, so we did that. Flipping back into May now. So I have $130 in this line item here. One of my goals for Q2 is to invest an extra 15% of my total monthly spending into my taxable brokerage account every single month. And I did that in April, but May's just been so spendy, which we will look at all of my spending for May soon, that I just don't think I will be able to hit this goal this month. And I'd rather use this $130 to kind of replenish some of my sinking funds and other things. So let's actually move this $130, and we're gonna move this to the car ownership category, because I did have $268 come out this month. So I'd like to see this car ownership get back up to that $500 savings goal as soon as possible. I'm also going to move $40 from that continuing education category, which I haven't even really looked into doing the certification class that I was looking at. Let's move $40 into car ownership as well. And that $40 equates to about 1 month of the access to the course or the program. So I would still have like 3 months of access with the $120 that I have set aside here, but that gets me up to $400, and I think that's good. Then that still gives me $40.06 that I have left. So let's jump forward into June. So that is up to $120. I might need more money in health and wellness as well. So let's do another $10 there. We will get this up to $30 there. And then, okay, let's get this car ownership category up to $415. So what do I need for that? So we're gonna say plus $415, which is the goal, minus $401.95, which is already in there. So that does the math for me. So that's at $415. And then this $165 we will put into holding. Okay, so just like that, we are back to $0 and to be budgeted, and I have moved all of the money around in my budget that I need to kind of clean up the end of May. And just as a recap, here is everything that I did, and this is just using the recent moves function in YNAB. So that is a quick recap of all of the little ways that I moved money around in my budget and budgeted out money. So I really do like this recent moves kind of summary, especially after all of that moving around. Sometimes it's like, how did I find all of this money to move around? And that's where I like to go to this recent moves. So we come out to the monthly closeout list checklist, and obviously step 3, cover overspending and move money, has been completed. Step 4 is to now review spending and saving for the month. So the way to do this is to utilize either the YNAB reports or the toolkit for YNAB reports. There are lots of great reports in this. So we're going to look at the toolkit reports and look at the spending by category. We're looking at just May. So in total for the month of May, I spent $2,820.16, but 41% of this was my investing. So that was split up between $100 to my taxable brokerage, which is a little bit less than I like to do, but you can also see I put an extra $200 into my Roth IRA than I normally do. And then in my I hate Elon crypto bubble line item, I did $350 into crypto, and that pretty much all came from birthday money. And I thought that was, since I didn't have to work for this money, sure, it can go to crypto. Usually my next biggest expense after my investments is my responsibilities, which are my bills. But actually this month it was my sinking funds. Winter is coming. So that was almost $490 or 17% of my total spending. And I had a little bit of everything this month. I had an eye exam, so that was $10 for the copay, which wasn't too bad. I broke the screen on my phone, so I had to get that into Apple, and they repaired it for free, but that $42.95 is the cost of a new screen protector. I had a medical bill from my primary care doctor for $163.52, and then the big doozy here, under car ownership, $268 in car maintenance costs. They just honestly changed a bunch of fluids in my car. I don't know what they did. I'm sure I got ripped off, whatever. I'm not a car person, so if the mechanic says this needs to happen, I pretty much just say, okay, sounds good, go ahead and do it. And that cost me $268.05. Next, my responsibilities. So as normal, that is just the $400 to my mom, since I do live at home with her. And this covers my phone bill, car insurance, and then some of the kind of groceries and household I chip in for that. Next, totaling 13% of my total spending was me, myself, and I. This is entertainment, beauty and pampering. Dining out was $70.51, which is way more than I normally spend. Splurges and mindless wants. This was a bunch of books that I bought, and then a lot of clothing as well. And a lot of this was kind of part of my birthday spending. May was my birthday month, and so I did a lot of spending specifically to kind of, for me. I got extra money. It's my birthday. I can spend it on clothing or eating out or whatever I want. So it wouldn't have been that bad, this, $355 in spending like that, if some of these other big expenses didn't also happen this month. In giving, $173.87, but most of that was gifts. Next, this dark green, travel and trips made up 6% of my spending. So in here you can see I actually spent even more on dining out this month, because 40% of my spending in this travel and trips category was related to dining out costs. But since that was for a trip for my friend's birthday, that's not counted in like my normal dining out expenses. And then finally, monthly varied living. I got gas, I had to pay for some parking downtown, and then $60 in kind of health and wellness and supplement spending. So looking over at the income versus expenses report for May, you can see I brought in $2,875.35. So when you count in all of my spending, which again totaled $2,820, I just barely came in with a positive net income of $55. But again, a lot of that was my investing. So if we go ahead and deselect this investment account and don't count that spending, I actually spent $1,670.16, which if you compare that to, the rest of the previous months for this year, is obviously much higher than the average. If you have followed any of my previous videos, you also know that for 2021, my goal is to spend less than $15,000 for the entire year, and that works out to about $1,250 a month. That is the, monthly limit if you average that out. So obviously $1,600 is way over that $1,250, but as you can see, I have come under in all of the previous months. So if May was just a particularly spendy month and that just happens once in a while, that's completely okay, but I did want to mention that. So we can now mark step 4, review spending and saving. We can that as complete. Step 5 is to do a net worth check-in. And for the sake of time, I'm actually going to kind of skip over this step for now. I will be doing a more in-depth net worth update and check-in later on this week. I will have a separate video come out for that. And if you are interested, I did recently release a May 2021 portfolio update where I do kind of reveal what my invested assets are and also my asset allocation, location, and specific holdings. So if you're interested in that, go check out that video. Step 6 is to record money wins for the month. This is also really anything that kind of impacted your budget. So I like to just use this notes section up here. So you can see I already have some notes about my 24th birthday. My friends were supposed to visit and they couldn't end up coming. Obviously Mother's Day, friend's birthday, medical bills. I have this note that I invested in crypto. I'm also going to say I went on 5 dates this month, which definitely contributed to my high dining out spending. But that's definitely why that $70.51 happened. Also, where I want to note again, I got phone repair, and then also car maintenance costs. I also want to put in, my goals for Q2, and obviously we talked about this. I wanted to add an additional 15% of total spending to investments. That did not happen. I instead moved other money that I had set aside for that goal to sinking funds, and then the other goal was to spend less than $1,250. That also did not happen. As we talked about, I spent $1,670 this month. So I just want to notate that as well. But I did complete step 6. And then step 7 is to just review next month's budget and be aware of any upcoming events or potential budget busters. So if we flip forward into June, I do expect June to be another spending month. Hopefully it's not quite as spendy as May because I won't have my birthday or my friend's birthday, or hopefully no more car repairs or phone repairs, but I do expect it to be spendier with dining out and with gas and potentially with giving for gifts or family giving. I also expect more medical bills to be coming in June, so that's definitely going to be a bit expensive as well. But hopefully some of my other sinking funds, and as I'm going through my kind of budget line items, hopefully everything else I can kind of contain. It's just hard because now I am definitely going out into the world more since I am vaccinated and everyone I pretty much know is vaccinated and so many others are vaccinated. I am going kind of back into the world and doing activities and seeing people again. So, and it's also #hotgirlsummer. So it's just going to be a little bit more expensive these next couple of months, and I have accepted that, and the goal is to live a happy life, so I'm not going to sweat every single dollar. But just like that will conclude my step 7, which was to review next month's budget. I know this video has been a little bit long and just me rambling and getting into the nitty gritty and every single penny of my budget, but this is truly the steps that I take at the end of every single month. Some months it's a lot more in depth when I have to move a lot more money around or there's a lot of things to juggle, and this was one of those months. But again, thank you so much for watching. I hope your May went well. Like I said, there was lots of good things that happened to me in May. It just kind of all happened to be very spendy. As always, I hope y'all are staying safe and healthy and that you have a good day.